Welcome to Coach's class. All right, I'm so excited because this technically is the first video for you guys, the first support video that I'm doing ever, so I know, I have the Coach Hulme show, but this right here, though, is for your class, and so I'm not really nervous, but I want to make sure it comes out awesome for you. So I have several different tools and different tricks in my bag, so through the videos, for this video, it'll be a certain way. Maybe for another video, it'll be a different way. But let's jump right into it. I'm going to see, we'll tinker around with different ways, and maybe we won't do it like this again. But maybe we will. So today's focus is going to be U.S. industrialization and the food war. All right, so making me hungry. I love food, by the way. So anyways, in class today, we watched several things, okay? So first, obviously, you guys came in. You had your warm-up. We went over Japanese internment camps, okay? And so we're trying to link it. California state standards, we have to follow certain standards that I have to hit them. Sorry. Going through the war, about that time, United States had, levied a trade embargo to Japan, okay? And put a lot of pressure on Japan. There's growing tensions in Europe with Germany, stuff like that. So today's focus is going to be the industrialization, okay? Food war we'll get into. You guys learned it a little bit today when you watched the crash course video. So I know that you guys have some knowledge already. So with that said, okay, we're going to flip it. And I guess I'm going to call it the coach's cam, all right? So you guys, we're going to flip it to the coach's cam, and we're going to go right now, and so we can get into it. Again, the main purpose of this video is to support you in your lesson, okay? So the cool thing is, even if it flashes for like 2 seconds on your screen right now, you can stop and pause. You can copy whatever you need to do to put in your own notes, anything that helps you. I know you have your student journals at home, but maybe you have a home journal as well that helps you. I know I do. Like, oh my gosh, I got so many different ones. Man, it's like crazy around in my desk here at home. I even got different notebooks. So I want you guys to be prepared for class. It's not just, like listening. And it's not about dates. A lot of people think, it's like history is about dates. It is, okay? And you need to know what happened and when. All right? But since this is the first pilot video, I want you guys to understand my job is to help you have a better understanding and to like link and connect different historical issues, and eventually you can take like today's world matters and like understand what's going on. So and make your own opinions and form your own like thoughts and stuff like that, which is amazing. That's why like we have such a beautiful country to be able to do that, and we have such a welcoming educational environment to do that as well. So let's get into it. The coach's cam right now. All right, well, we're going to try it. Welcome back. This is the coach's camp. All right, so don't make any knowledge. Haven't done any edits yet, so we will see how this comes out in post-edit. So hopefully it's good for you, and I want you guys to understand. So looking over this, as you can see, we have the Mr. Hulme vocabulary support sheet for you that was presented in class, U.S. industrialization and the food war. So I presented this to you today, which you went over yourself. You just had it there as a key as we went over videos, as you went through your group work, stuff of the such. So, but what I want to do is actually take a moment here, because this is a support video, to go over what it says and some of the examples. So like, first off, industrialization, the development of industries in a country or region on a wide scale. So how that works out is during war times, many countries, such as the United States, produce goods, resources, and military vehicles that lead rapid industrialization in our domestic economy. Benefits include a need for more workers to fill jobs necessary for rapid growth. Job creation is a direct result from industrialization. Okay, so like, let's get into industrialization. So like in this case, from the various different learning models that we learned from today, we see that the United States goes into like a high production of, planes and tanks and boats and scrap metal drives and war bonds and every different thing that's going on. There's a lot going on in the United States, and that is to supply and fuel everything that's needed for the war. Okay, so this industrialization, this burgeoning, or this like beginning, or this like really rampant product building is kind of like what the term would be called industrialization. Like you want to make sure that if you hear it in another video or see it in a book, that you understand it's like business is growing at a rapid rate, whether it's for country, wartime, whatever, any significant time, like industrial revolution, stuff of the such. So it's good for the United States to have this. But obviously we're during a war, so it's a very specific time, and it's for a very specific purpose. The next one that we're going to go to is trade embargo. Okay, the economic embargo sanctions are commercial and financial penalties or limitations applied to one or more countries against a specific targeted entity, such as a self-governing state. It could be like a country. Okay, group or individual. All right. So, with that said. Okay, economic sanctions are not necessarily imposed because of economic circumstances. Okay, so they could also be imposed for a variety of political, military, social issues. Throughout time, you've seen, because this country does this country reacts this way. Okay, so, but in this case, Japan had imperialistic demands that was putting a lot of pressure on its neighbors. And so what ended up happening is the U.S. says, no, and Germany was doing the same thing. But with Japan, we limited our trade to them and started applying penalties, the trade embargo. And so it cut off supply lines to Japan. And so Japan was like furious because it really put a big dent into what they wanted to do. And so obviously one thing led to another, and that's why and spawned the attack on Pearl Harbor, because they were angry and mad, and they felt that they could kill the Pacific Fleet, which is a completely different example altogether. So right here, imperialism is a policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. Germany, the example here, Germany and Japan's imperialistic demands violated neighboring countries' boundaries and led to conflicts in Europe and the Pacific. Due to the negative and violent nature of their imperialism, these conflicts led to World War II. I kind of talked about it in the previous ones. All these link together. That's why it's a vocabulary list, because they all connect some way in another. So you may have a little bit of blending here, but exactly what that is. It's hugely crazy that with Japan and Germany taking over. Imagine if you're living at your apartment or your house or wherever you live, and your neighbor just walks through your front door and says, "Nope, my house now." All right. So that's exactly what Japan and Germany did. And so we are taking over, and I call this land in, sake of me. All right. And so obviously that's not right. And so there's a lot of issues. And so that kind of, explains a little violent imperialism. So, but getting into the global economy, how this affects in the global economy is it's an economic system which includes all economic activities which are conducted both within and between nations in the world. And that includes production, consumption, economic management, work in general, exchange and trade of financial values. So in our own economy here in the United States, let's just say now, so you guys get this. We go out, we buy goods at Walmart, Target, wherever we shop, Food for Less, Dollar Store, whatever, okay? Go to the mall. That's part of the economy, okay? Obviously, the goods have to get shipped there, so we have distribution centers, and we have, the place that's the manufacturer or the company, the model company that makes it, and so it interlinks. It's a system, okay? Now imagine that not just in the United States, but imagine that coming from overseas, like China, or even here in North America, Mexico. We have different companies that ship, and we do the same thing, and we actually export, okay? And we all work together, so the companies have some type of profit. The consumers, which is us, our demands are met, and that just kind of explains how a global economy works. And when that breaks down, that's not necessarily the best of situation, because if a country is falling short, then that really affects and kind of throws a wrench into the system. Example, during the war, a global economy is split between those that are fighting with reliance on supply, between those that are with most resources to affect production. Hence, a country or a group of countries, such as the Allied powers, in this case World War II, have a significant strategical advantage over other countries with less production powers, such as Germany and Japan, who are more reliant on outside resources. Limiting resources is a way to affect the global economy during this time period and the current time period. So when you can't produce and you rely on another country or another source to give you the things, that's when, you're going to have this thing called reliance, which is our next one, okay? A specific need for a good product, service, or resource. And reliance or demand can be created by a void of a specific resource from those like yourself, a person, a country in need of that specific resource. Like if you don't have it, you're relying on somebody else to get it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I wanted to have it there for you. A benefit of U.S. industrialization was their ability to recycle their materials through scrap drives domestically. The Allies needed to replace and or build boats, planes, tanks, and to support the war effort, and the reliance on the material domestically and abroad fueled a dependence on production from the United States to meet these needs, to help their position in the war. So like Britain, man, they're getting bombarded by Germany, okay? So a lot of different things they use through their materials, whether it's bombs, whether it's planes, whether it's whatever it happens to be. And so it's such a big problem for them. So they have a huge reliance on us to supply them with extra goods and services to help them fight off the Axis powers, you know what I'm saying? So with this going on, war bonds. How do countries pay for it? So like for us, you got to think everybody's at war, and at home you've got all these scrap drives, and you've got all the men at this time going off to war, and you've got all the family members that are left at home, and they've got to fill these jobs, and some of the jobs are there and some of the jobs are not. But because of industrialization, there is a huge demand for jobs for in production, okay? And so one thing that's the problem, though, is we need to pay for all this supplies that's going out. So the cool thing is these war bonds, which are debt securities issued by the government to finance military operations and other expenditures in times of war. They are used as a means to control inflation by removing the money, because you got to pay the money. So the actual dollar bill comes out, all right, instead of printing it, because when you have more of something, it's less of value, okay, from circulation, from a stymied wartime economy, okay, because things kind of buckle down when people are, holding on to things. But with war bonds, man, you just buy them, you have the war bond, okay, paid back at a later time, all right, and it's like hugely important for our allied friends to have the ability to be able to get, planes, tanks, straits, boats, all the necessary supplies, and ourselves. And so the companies, they don't just do this for free, okay? I will tell you, it's not for free, unfortunately. People think, oh, I'll just give it to you. No, you still have to pay. So the government raised money through war bonds to pay for it. So it's pretty cool. All right, here we're getting into the last one, Blitzkrieg, okay? I was like, what? Like, we're talking about U.S. industrialization and Blitzkrieg? How does that even play? I left this one as kind of my wild card. It's an intense military campaign intended to bring out a swift victory. Look, because Germany's Blitzkrieg and just going all out and hammering, especially in Europe, they were destroying a lot of things, destroying supplies and planes and boats and taking their neighbors by surprise. And so what it ended up happening is because they were gone, they needed more. And again, with us, with our U.S. industrialization, us building, the planes, tanks, boat, all the different supplies that were supplied for the war, okay, they were doing, Germany is like crushing Europe at such a rapid pace that there is such a demand, so they're looking to the United States for help. And so because of Blitzkrieg, I personally believe one of the, I'd say overshadowed or forgotten about pieces is because they went with that type of strategy, it really kind of bolstered the U.S. economic production because there was a need for something. So I know it sounds really kind of backwards, because of Blitzkrieg, we profited. And unfortunately, that's the way business works in wartime, and war is war, and it's really unfortunate. But it says right here, the German forces adopted a version of Blitzkrieg that crippled its opponent in Europe. By destroying and or demolishing its adversaries, it placed a demand for countries such as Great Britain to replace its resources. This connection is sometimes overlooked as a major reason why industrialization boomed in the United States. The demand for the replacement supplies were high, so that it created a constant need for high production, therefore affecting industrialization efforts on the war. So there you go. I mean, that's, again, if you want to think about it, my job is to challenge you and think outside the box and relate all these different topics and themes and points together so you have a deeper, richer understanding. That's going to play such a huge part for you. So I know that you have this, maybe you lost it, your dog ate it already, okay, and you just got home 15 minutes ago, whatever the deal is, I don't know. but maybe it got wet because you're a water polo practice or swim practice, or you're sweating, you use it as a tissue of football or cheer or whatever. But you have this right here on video now too, okay? So as you can see, I have this available for you, okay? Super huge and important, okay? And I think that with that said, the other thing too is I want to go into our next part of our support video, which I'll go over right now. All right, welcome back. This is the next part of our support video for this plan. Here we go. So obviously you see here Mr. Hulme's in-class video questions and assessments. You didn't think you're going to see this again, did you? No, I just think it's very valuable. I know it's like all this information was packed into like a 5-minute video. It was great, okay? So I kind of want to go over it because I think it's going to help you understand what I'm looking for and what you need to do to be able to describe, which is our core objective today, is you've got to write a response on a couple of different effects and benefits to industrialization in the United States, and you've got to be able to explain it. So I want you to be able to identify it and explain, and the answer's hidden within from the previous, vocabulary list, all the videos, the answer's right here because, again, like I said earlier, history is not about me just giving you a date, okay? It's about you thinking and having a deep, rich understanding about what's going on. So I'd love to hear all your answers, but let's get right into it. So I will tell you though, this is the first pilot video. So I kind of watched the first one and now we're on to the second one. And man, I was so excited to talk to you guys and really, I was going so super fast. So, but hopefully it's not too fast. Like I said, you can always pause it, stop it. Oh, you can even I think you could even slow-mo me, and be like, yes, this is the Industrial Revolution in the U.S. during the World War II. I'm just kidding. Okay, so no, you just fast forward that part out. But anyways, okay, so here we go. In-class video assessment, World War II and U.S. industrial production. The video presented a lot of different facts. The first one's, what were the main reasons that Japan felt that they needed to attack the United States at Pearl Harbor when the U.S. had been taking an isolationist stance from the war? So in the previous part of this video, we didn't really talk about the isolationist stance from the United States. But right here, my expected answer is students will identify the aspects of how the United States levied a trade embargo against Japan that limited their resources to wage war, like scrap metal, oil, and other strategic resources, okay? So United States basically took that advantage away from Japan. What they were intentionally trying to do, even though their isolationist stance, is everybody knows that we were already feeding the Allies because the mission from Japan and Germany was so violent and negative anyways. I think the writing was on the wall that this was going to go to a world war. And that's the hard part. United States tried to stay out as long as it possibly could from military force. But right here, the main reason was because the United States had levied it. So they didn't do anything militarily, but they were pretty much saying, no, we're going to take things away from you. And they were angry. So, and that is exactly why they made that attack at Pearl Harbor. You can read other books. You can watch the Pearl Harbor movie where they dramatize it. Okay. But, that is exactly it right there. So next one, did the Japanese take into consideration war potential percentage? Taking into consideration the U.S.'s abundance in resources, why would Japan attack the United States? Expected answer, Japan did not look deeply into the abundance of the United States that could provide for long term. The initial strategic thoughts were to cripple the Americans, but did not realize their production potential in a counterattack. And I would even go a little bit further. I want you to expand. These are expected. I would love more conversation about this in your answers. I'd love for you to expound. So, but really, is their initial strategic thoughts to cripple Americans, all right, and their potential counterattack. They wanted to decimate them so that Americans would go, oh no, please no, But that wasn't the fact. The Americans had so much time to come back and start producing, and they through, again, what we've already talked about, through our industrialization, we're able to produce ships crazy quick, all right, through their assembly line. And so Japan doesn't have that type of resources at the time, and they didn't expect the United States to be able to have that ability. And so that really took them by surprise. So it didn't really work out in their initial, thoughts for what Japan wanted to do, because the United States was able to do that. So, how did the industrial production play an effect on the ability to fight the war? We just briefly talked about it a little bit, but due to the U.S. ability to produce tanks, boats, planes, and a rapid speed via the assembly line and production, transit quicker than the Japanese and Germany in the war. This was a major factor in the ability to win the war due to resources. Obviously, when you're pulling resources by recycling like crazy, something that's not mentioned here, nor is in the video, but no war was actually on U.S. home front. So even though we have soldiers abroad in Europe and in the Pacific, there's no decimation to the United States physically inside of it. So unlike like in Japan and on the islands and in the Pacific and in Germany and Europe, they're decimating like cities and towns and landscape and buildings and places in Europe specifically, places in the Pacific that are like war production factories. They're destroyed. So that took away a little bit of ability for Japan and Germany to like produce and the abilities that they did. But for the United States, we're building factories. So we're building factories to build things, and it's kind of untouched. And that's kind of, I think, the little secret sauce that would like really kind of help the Allied forces win the war in the U.S. In World War II. How did the bolster from the United States the economy during the war and post-war? Due to growth in industry, the U.S. economy increased and grew into a production and juggernaut that supplied the Allies. Yo, come here, Holly. Come say hi to my class real quick. This is my daughter, all right? So she doesn't realize that I'm taping right now. So you just got her voice on camera. So, you see me as Coach Hulme, Mr. Hulme, but I do have to tell you that, oh, no. Hey, Ben, what's up? Now it's Ben. So, oh my gosh, they're saying bye. He's off camera right now. They're about to go to bed. So, no, say hi. Yeah, just put your, you can put your head right there. Say hi. Just say hi to everybody. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. Say bye.
Bye.
Say good luck on the U.S. industrialization.
Good luck on the U.S. industrialization thingamajig thing.
That's perfect. He got it. All right. Here we go. So, I do think family is so important, and you should always be blessed and thankful for all the different things that you have in your life. So, back to our lesson. That'd be similar to like somebody walking in our class and saying hi real quick. So, anyways, due to the growth in the industry, United States economy increasing growth production. It was a juggernaut. All right, it was a juggernaut that supplied the Allies and later balanced global economy. We talked about global economy in our vocabulary support. All right, but with a global economy, like after the war, the United States led the ability to go into these countries and try to help them rebuild because they understood long term. We had the war, but we still needed to have the global economy and to thwart communism, which led to the Cold War and stuff like that. Long term, we had to keep that away, and we had to do that for the benefit of ourselves too. So that was something that's like so hugely important. Even 3 decades after the war, we were profitable and we boomed. So other countries could not keep up with the U.S. production capacity, which led to a demand and reliance of U.S. goods and products for a long time after the war until everything became a little bit more stable. What was the long-term effects of World War II industrialization in the U.S. and around the world? Due to the growth of industrialization, the U.S. created a blueprint for supplying the world with production. This led to an economic boom post-war and established the U.S. as a world power because U.S. I wouldn't say they were in a U.S. power, but the world wars really changed it for us, all right? So we became a respected community on a global scale, member of the community. And then it says right here, outsourcing didn't even come into the conversation until 20 or 30 years. All right, so we can look in hindsight right now, and a lot of people go, well, how come if we're like so good, how come we're outsourcing to other countries like China and Mexico? That really didn't enter the conversation until 30 years later. So that's a total different part of history. But for the time being, with us focusing on World War II, we want to had to at least let you understand that so you guys could understand the relationship because it's 30-something years. So, and then it says right here, post-war production demand stayed strong for the nearly 3 decades. And then it says other countries suffer production problems due to unstable domestic markets. The collapse of the USSR was entirely due to issues politically and economically, while China emerged as a global competitor in the early 2000s, all right, and to current today in the United States for many decades after the war. So World War II was such a, I'd say, a transitional point, and I wouldn't say just United States history, but world history, because our path went down a different way, and another path happened for different countries. And thwarting communism, because communism in the Cold War, which is right after this, was such a huge part. Okay, but this video presented all this within a short amount of time, and I think it's so super huge for you guys to understand, because the whole thing is talking about how the United States economic system through industrialization really played a pivotal role in World War II and beyond. So I wanted to go over that with you just because I thought it was so super huge and important. Hopefully this part and the other part of the video has been really helpful for you and help you understand. And I wish you nothing but the best on your assignments. And again, you can pause at any time. You can rewind. You can even, pinch if you need to look at some language that's a little bit more and be able to take notes on it. I'll be more than happy to answer questions for you tomorrow in class. But I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Peace.